Okay, we are at the Hardrock mining exhibit. The type of mining done on Mackay's mine hill through the years was hard rock mining, a kind of underground mining geared to removing heavy metal ores such as lead, copper, zinc, silver, and gold embedded in solid rock type materials. Once an ore deposit was located, an adit horizontal opening or shaft vertical opening was started to penetrate into the ore deposit using explosives and manual labor. Generally, holes would be strategically drilled, charges would be placed and detonated, and the good ore material and or muck, which is waste rock, removed by tramming and or mucking, moving the material out using a bucket windlass set up, or by ore cars on tracks within the tunnel pulled with a mule or mechanized means. Very early on, holes for the explosive black powder were drilled by hand, single jacking and double jacking with handheld drills and sledgehammers, and the mucking done with picks, shovels, and wheelbarrows. Later, compressed air rock drills and dynamite were used in firing off rounds to penetrate shafts and tunnels, and mechanical means. Air-driven winches and mucking machines were often used to move ore and muck from inside the mountain. The work inside the poorly ventilated tunnels was often damp, and lighting early on was only candles until advent of the carbide lamp. This work required strong men and of both will and stamina to handle the physical demands of carrying and operating drills, hoses, bracing, timbering, and other equipment weighing hundreds of pounds. And before the advent of rock drills that utilized water along with compressed air, drilling dust would often take its toll on the miners, who generally had no protection, lasting only a few months on the job. The early day Widowmaker rock drill was so named because of the dust it created. So here are some of the tools of the early day blacksmith. Tools of the early day blacksmith still. Oh, I don't think there they are. They had drilling contests up here. They also did the double jacking before the development of the pneumatic rock drill. Old timers used handheld stills driven with a double jack. One miner held the drill still while his partner swung the hammer. Drilling upper holes was slow, hard work. This is the wiggle tail, or Widowmaker, was so named because the machine was self-rotating as the miner turned the handle back and forth to rotate the drill still. He was covered with dry cuttings that dropped from the holes above. Here is an ore chute and chute lip. The ore chute was used to route ore from an upper mine level to a lower one. The metal chute lip was used to direct ore into ore cars and start and stop flow. We got a firebox and cauldron here. It was likely used for the melting of lead, babbitt, and other alloys used for machining parts or bearings. Right here we have an in-tunnel utility car. It was used for transporting miners' supplies and tools. And this was a mucking machine. This is a restored air-powered machine for removing ore from within Mackay's mine tunnels. It was retrieved from the workings at the 1,100-foot level where it was last used about 1966. An operator standing at its control side moved the machine forward, penetrating the scoop into the ore pile, then actuated controls that rotated the scoop back over the machine, dumping its load into a closely coupled ore car at its rear. The action of the mucking machine was very fast and required an alert operator. Machines like this, used to speed up and lessen the manual labor involved in removing ore, were first put into use at about 1930. This is a rotary multi-stage air compressor. It was electric motor-driven rotary compressors like this one replaced the early day steam-driven reciprocating compressors for supplying the high-pressure air needed for rock drills, winches, hoists, and other air-driven equipment. This type was used as recently as 1970 at the Mine Hills 1,100-foot level site. These were some of the tools used for removing ore from mine shafts. From vertical or inclined shafts was often done with ore buckets of the type displayed here. The raising of the large, heavier type buckets was done with air-powered winches, while the small, lighter buckets were often pulled from the shaft by a manually operated windlass. This is a slusher and tugger. This type of setup was used to move ore or muck within a tunnel to an ore chute or other point for removal. It utilized a large metal-type scraper, a slusher, connected by cables to a double drum-type air-powered winch, a tugger. A lot of the early day miners did not work for the mine company. Having staked out and proved up their own claims, they often lacked the funds for elaborate mining tools and equipment. No compressed air supply or machine drills, so their search for money-making ore would rely on hard manual labor and crude, meager tools, like those on display here. Penetration into the mountains for a shaft or tunnel meant boring of explosive holes using handheld drill steels and hand augers, ore and muck removing using tools, shovels and picks, and hauled in wheelbarrows from tunnels or from shafts with crude handmade windlass. Before the advent of dynamite, black powder was used for blasting and candles were used for lighting. Here is the double jack tool. We got a soft rock hand auger, the explosive hole clean out rod or spoon, and a single jack. This is the windlass. It's a hand-powered windlass was the usual arrangement for hoisting a payload of ore from vertical mine shafts in the early days. The size of the load and the rate of retrieval depended entirely upon the miner's stamina and brawn. Ore bucket and running gear from the Mine Hills aerial tramway. This is a pair of extremely heavy flywheels from the early mine in Mammoth Canyon, were likely used on ore crushing device such as a stamp mill. Here's pumps. Water was often a problem in deep mine shafts and tunnels. These hand and compressed air driven pumps were the answer. These are reforging and the sharpening of drill stills. From the very earliest days when drilling of holes for explosive charges was done by hand, single and double jacking, it was imperative that drill still bits ends be sharp to do their job quickly and efficiently. It was a full-time job for the mine company blacksmith to forge, shape, and keep drill still bits sharp. With the onset of air-powered drills and multi-toothed drill bits, the job became even more demanding, hence a machine to make the job easier. Still later, threaded drill steels and bits came on the scene, some fitted with carbide-tipped flutes. The mine company merely ordered in whatever style and quantity of threaded, sharpened drill bits and that were desired, sending back the old dual-used ones to be resharpened. Here is a display of the air-powered machine rock drills. Those ones there are the Widowmaker rock drills. And over here is a blacksmith forge, the center of activity in any early day machine shop.